Hey, what's up, y'all? In this video, we're going to use the Bubble Tea library to build a CLI app to query the Urban Dictionary API and display the results. If you're not familiar with the Elm architecture already, I covered a high-level overview of it in a previous video, so definitely check that out. And just a heads up, for the sake of this demo, I'm going to put all the code in the main.go file, but in a production environment, you'll probably want to consider breaking this out into separate files. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of just lay the foundation of what we want to do with some comments. We're just going to say new program with initial model and program options. And then we'll say run. And then now we want to define all the parts of Bubble Tea. So we'll say our model is our app state. We'll want to have a new model function that returns an initial model. We want to have an init function using the model as the receiver type, and this is going to kick off the event loop. We also want to have an update function that will handle messages. We also want to have a view that is going to basically return a string based on the state of our model. And then something I'll kind of put on the back burner for now are commands and messages. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll just kind of add some boilerplate here. We'll say we have a program. And, actually, we need to go ahead and get some stuff first. So we will open up our terminal and we'll say go get github.com/charm bracelet/bubble tea. And then we will say we also want the Bubbles library. And the Bubbles library is basically a bunch of components for Bubble Tea. So let's see, we'll go ahead and close this. And now we should have this available. Okay, cool. So we have our program here that we can pass our initial model in, and then we want to go ahead and run it. So we can say p.run. We can see that it returns a model and error, but we don't really need to use the model for anything. We do want to handle the error though. And if we do have an error, we will just log fatal that error. And as far as our model goes, our model is going to be a struct with any number of fields. So we'll say type model is a struct, and we'll just say for right now we have a title, which is a string. And then let's say new model will return our model, and this is kind of going to be our initial model. So we can say our title is we'll just say hello world. All right, we'll go on to our init. We'll use our model as a receiver type, and the init is just going to return a t command, which is a function that takes in no arguments and returns a message. For now, we won't return anything, so we'll just say return nil. Let's see, the update will also use the model as a receiver type. And this is going to take in a message, and it's going to be a t-type message, and this should return, let's see, what does this return? I think it returns a model and a command. So for now, we'll just return the model and nil. And then we also need a view, which is going to return a string. And we'll just say this is going to return the title. And let's see, so now that so the model, aside from being a struct, is also an interface. And to satisfy the model interface in Bubble Tea, we need the init, the update, and the view functions. Okay, so now that we have a new model method, we can basically say new model, and then we can pass in our model here. And let's see, let's run it. Let's see if this actually will run. Okay, cool. So we got hello world. And now we want to put some other functionality into it. So let's think about what we want to do. What we want to do really is have an app that has two main components. One is going to be the text input, and the other one is going to be just a component that can display some text. So let's work on the text input. So for the text input, we don't really need this title anymore. I'll just go ahead and leave it in there for now. We want to say we have a text input, and that's going to be of type text input.model. And then we'll go into our new model. We'll initialize this text input.new. And then we want to make sure, we want to make sure that we return it here. And we're not going to be able to see it unless it's in our view. So we'll kind of use this as the base view. We'll say, var s. Okay, let's just say s is m.textInput, and it does have a view. And we will return this view for now. So let's run this and let's see if we get anything going here. Okay, so we are missing some stuff here that we need. So, so let me run go mod tidy. Let's see if this didn't, Let's get out of this. Got my shortcuts all mixed up. Okay, so I think we have our text input here. So what we need to do is, let's see, what do we want to do here? So on init, I think we want to say text input blink, and we also want to focus here. So we should set a placeholder, and we can say enter search term for now. Maybe we can think of something better later. And we will want to focus our input. So let's go ahead and run this again. And cool. We have the makings of something happening. I think also in the update, we are going to want to say text input. Let's see. So let's define a command. So we'll say for our command is of t command, and we will assign that to text input. I think text input update message. Let's see if this will compile. Command is declared not used. Okay, so we'll just return command here. Cool. So it looks like we have what we need going on so far, but this is not very useful at the moment because we have to wire some stuff up. So ideally what we want to happen is we want to type in some sort of search term like yeet, hit enter, and then hit the Urban Dictionary API. So let's see. In the update function, we want to say message is, let's think about this. So we want to switch on the message actually, and we want to switch on the message type. And we want to say if this is a key message. So basically if this was some keyboard input, we can switch on that message type, and we can say on the enter key press, we want to call the Urban Dictionary API with our search term. So we can say v is m text input dot value, and this will return us a string of what's in our input field, and we can basically call a, let's say, handle query search, which we need to implement with the value. So I'll copy this, and this is going to talk to the outside world, outside the event loop. So we want to make this a command, and we'll say func handle query search. That's going to take in a query string, and we want to return a command. And we're going to want to return an inner function of, let's say, I guess it can be an anonymous function that takes in no input, that returns a message. And this is where we want to make our HTTP request. So we'll have the URL here. And let me go check out what the URL is. Okay, so let's see. The URL is HTTPS. Oops, this should be wrapped in a string. HTTPS api.urbandictionary.com/v0/define term %s, and I should wrap this, since we need to do some formatting, in a sprint f, and we'll just say let's see, I want to query escape this, so we'll just say query escape, and then we want to create our HTTP call. First I'll do a context with timeout, and we'll just say that if the HTTP request is taking longer than 5 seconds, just cancel it. Then we'll just defer that. And let's see. So we want to create a request. So we'll say HTTP new request with context. We'll pass in our context. This is going to be a get method. We'll pass in our URL, and we have no body to send up. We'll do our good old Golang error handling. And let's see. So instead of returning an error here, let's return a message. So we can see that we're returning a message. A message can be basically of any type that we want to define. So we can even say error message is of type error. And then we can say if error is not nil here, we can return error message wrapping our error. Let's see. So next we want to create the request and capture the result of that request, or yeah, the result of the request in our response. So we'll say default client do request, and then we'll kind of do the same thing with the error handling here. We'll copy this, pasta there, and then we want to make sure that we clean up our resources. So we'll say res.body.close. And let's see. So I kind of just want to see what the request looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read in the request, and that returns a byte slice and an error. Let's see. I'm going to basically just get this to compile, and let's just set a breakpoint here. I just want to see what the request looks like. We'll run the debugger. Whoops. Let's see. Okay, so not enough arguments to call read all. Oh, duh. So we need to pass in the res body, and I'm missing a return. Let's see. I think I'm missing a return in this inner function, so we'll return nil here. I don't want to run it. I do want to run the debugger so that we can break when we get the response. So we'll type in Whoops. So let's jump to our debugger. We'll type in yeet. Okay, so we have nothing happening. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. So let's see, on key enter, let's set a breakpoint here. And let's type in yeet. Okay, so we do reach this. We just have an issue inside of our inside of our command function. So let's go down to our command function. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Let's go to the command function. Here we go. All right, let's just see if we can reach this one here. We'll resume. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. Okay, let me just put a breakpoint here, and then we'll resume. Resume. Okay. Okay, cool. So I just had a breakpoint at the wrong place. So we'll go ahead and remove this breakpoint here. And now we're going to take a look at what our response looks like. We can kind of see for yeet, the definition is a word one may scream. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to, let's see, I'll paste it above. And it's a nice little thing I like about Golang is when you paste some JSON in, it automatically defines a struct for you. So let's call this, let's just call this terms. All right. So, all right, now we are going to, we're going to decode the JSON. So we want to create a variable called terms that we're basically going to decode our JSON and assign to our terms variable here. So we'll say we want a new decoder with the res.body. We'll call decode, and we want that to go to our terms variable. We'll handle our error here. And we'll go ahead and copy this so that we're sending our message here. And then let's create a new message type. We'll just say terms is going to be, or terms message, I should say, is going to be of type terms. And now we can say terms message, terms here. All right. And now we got to go back into our update function and make sure that we can handle that. So let's see. So let's say case terms message, and we actually want to put this on the model. So let's just say terms is of type terms, and we're going to say when we receive the terms message from the Urban Dictionary API, we want to assign it to our model. I think that, let's see, maybe I need to do, let's just see what our compiler says here. Cannot use variable of type terms message as terms in assignment. Does it want, let's see, terms. Terms message. Let's see. Okay, so I think what I want to do actually is define this as a terms response message. This is going to be a struct with a terms field and a error. So That way we can basically just handle it in a single case. It's a little bit cleaner. Just got to clean this up. Whoops. Error. Okay, copy pasta here. Copy pasta here. Whoops. That's not what I want to do. Okay. And then we'll, I guess I could copy pasta here and just change this part. Terms. Cool. All right. 66. Let's see. Okay, cool. So when we get our terms message, say terms message. Oh, this changed. So this is now terms response message, and this should be message.terms. And we can probably say if message.error is not nil, then we can also have an error on our model. Let's see. So we'll just sign error to message.error. And then let's see. Let's think about this. So maybe we want to return the model here and nil. All right, let's just see if we can compile. We can compile. Let's make sure that nothing here is broken. We'll say yeet. Nothing's happening because we do have to wire up the view now. So now that we have the data available on our model, we should be able to automatically trigger a re-render when the model is updated in order for us to update the view. So let's say if m.terms, if we have any terms, then we should basically concat this. We can say m.terms.list, and I think what I want to do is actually check the. Do I want to check the terms? All right, let's think about this. I think the list is what we want to check because this looks like a slice of structs, and I think these structs are the definition types. So yep. So we can see there. Let's see. So we'll just put the definition, add a couple new lines for formatting, and let's see. Let's see if this will work. So we'll run that. We'll jump to our command line here. Say yeet, and it looks like it looks pretty terrible, but we see something is happening. I think what we want to do is add a couple new lines here, which is kind of, we'll clean that up at some point. We'll jump to our command line, yeet, cool. Let's see. And we can also say bet, cool, drip, cool. All right. So one thing we can do also is there's some other info on the struct that is kind of interesting to see, and that is like the upvotes and the downvotes. So we can basically, let's do this. We'll say upvotes, and then this will be an int. Let me make sure this is an int. Thumbs up, int. Let's see. Yeah, it looks about right. Thumbs down, int. Yep. Okay. So upvotes, we'll put a new line for down votes. And then this should also be what am I trying to say here? This should also be an int that we want to format with %d. We'll throw a couple new lines in here, and we will say m.terms.list 0 thumbs up, and then we'll just say, oops, we'll just say thumbs down. And let's see if this actually worked. We'll jump to our command line. We'll say yeet, and it looks like it's working. A word 1 may scream, blah, blah, blah. Upvotes 4,800, downvotes 538. We'll try bet, 893 and 137. We'll try drip, 473 and 55. So it looks like it's working. And let's see. See if there's anything else we want to put. So the definition, word, current vote, written on. Oh, let's put the example. So that would probably help. So what we can do is concatenate the example here. And I think this should work. Let's try to run it. All right, so, oh, let's see. Yeet. Let's see what else. Drip. Cool. But it's kind of annoying because you can kind of see that my actual terminal is getting in the way. So one thing we can do is if we go up to new program, we can pass in some optional commands. So we'll pass in t.withAlt screen, and that essentially gives us full screen terminal UI. We'll go ahead and run it again, and we can see that my terminal is no longer in the way, and we can type in, whoops, keep doing that. So let me jump to the command line. We can type in yeet. We can type in bet. We can type in drip, and now we're full screen. Cool. The MVP for this app is pretty much done. There's definitely more that we can do, but hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea and a pretty good overview of how the bubble tea architecture works and how we can structure our apps.